Oh, here we go. Now he's recording. We can start.
You ready, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Let us start on, this is on page Kufnun Hey, Oy Samachalef. And we will start on the line that starts with the word Makib. There is a Makib of Ahava in every Yid. And this Makib is called Shoymer Alehem. You have the line? Makib. She slapped on the bottom. Makib means it surrounds. And this Makib is Shoymer Alehem. It guards them milmaila from above. This guarding is that they should not be lost, not stray away from the godly principle. What is the effect? How does it guard a yid from straying away? It guards a yid by virtue of the fact that it provides for the yid a very profound relationship. The sense of living that it provides, and therefore simply by choice, he cannot stray away from it. This is an ahava that he is drawn to it. And the reason he's drawn to it is due to its profound meaning, truth. And this is what the Rebbe says. This is why in every Yid there is Bekoyach. There is the essence that he can be Moiser Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem. Rahman Islam, we should never be tested with that. But by Yid, that is a primary reality. Kiddush Hashem takes priority by Yid over his own survival. That really needs to be discussed. Because clearly, if one, Rahman San goes on Kiddush Hashem means one gives up his own life. If he gives up his own life, so what benefit is there for him for anything else that there is? He wants to protect, make sure that Hashem's name is respected, is known. And what happens? His life dissipates. So what's the point for him in this victory? This is quite a challenging question. And the answer to it is really beyond our understanding, because in simple worldly terms, there is no way to make sense of it. The statement that this makes and is able to go on Mikiddush Hashem is a statement from the Neshama. But the Neshama says, that the divine truth is more significant to it than its own survival. And now, I want to go into this a little bit. Can we possibly identify and relate to this concept that the neshama should recognize the value of divine truth, of anything, even though it itself dissipates in non-existence? So, to explain it in simple experiential terms is really impossible. We can simply focus in on what's going on and then see the reality of it. And I want to start from the beginning of time. The Torah begins with Bereshis bara Elokim as a Shemayim v'Ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created the Shemayim and the Ha'aretz. Now, at that time, there is no functional use for Shemayim and Ha'aretz. So what is the enticement? What solicited that creation? Shemayim v'Ha'aretz is Bereshis. Bereshis is the beginning of everything, beginning of time. What in this Bereshis, what brought it out that there should be a creation? This creation is no use, of no use to anyone. Therefore, it behooves us that we think a little bit deeper and find the ability in our concepts of value, of truth, which is contained in our neshama. Bereshis bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created. That creation is a divine statement. Prior to creation, there was nothing there. And then God created. This creation is a statement, a divine statement. That to recognize the presence the divine presence is more significant, is deeper than to believe in it with full dedication. You're giving up your own life. The divine presence is more deeply expressed, recognized in the positive spirit that it provides, rather than the negative or the beetle. As we always point out, and this is now surfacing in its full glory, what is the principle of the Mebish's connection with us? The principle of Mebish's connection with us is Torah and mitzvahs. The Pasuk says, the Rebbe says to Yidden, my command to the Yidden when they were leaving Mitzrayim was not the principle of Mesiras Nefesh. The command to Yidden when they were leaving Mitzrayim is follow my statute, do the mitzvahs, act in the world in a proper divine manner. This is more significant from the divine truth perspective than Mesiras Nefesh itself. And this is what elicited the creation to begin with. The world was created, and in the world, the center of the creation is the Jewish people, so that there could be Torah mitzvahs. So that in the world, we could do mitzvahs that Hashem wants us to do. In the world, we should express through our actions the divine truth. Rahman al-Islam, if we are tested for Mesiras Nefesh, we have that ability too. But primarily, our focus is not on Mesiras Nefesh. Our focus is on living in the world with the godly principles. This,
excuse me, everybody mute their phone, please.
this sense of the godly principles as expressed in Torah mitzvahs is what's called Mazal Chozi. Mazal. Everybody is familiar with the word Mazal. In the common use of the word Mazal, also this principle is expressed. Mazal, we usually refer to Mazal as something haphazard. It occurred by accident. But Mazal is not an accident. The reason we call it an accident because we don't have an understanding of what it is. But in essence, Mazal is a divine presence in the world, a divine intent in the world, beyond worldly identification. It is at the Mazal level that ultimately the world is maintained on the divine level. The neshama has Emunah and so forth. It's seichel. Ultimately, at the peak of the neshama sensitivity, it is sensitive to this level called Mazal. Let me go back to what we started before. Mazal to us sounds like something accidental, unintended. It just occurred, happened. A Mazal. The truth, however, is the reason we refer to Mazal as such a remote thing is because we do not understand it. And because it does not have a presence, a worldly presence. There's an absolute meaning, a reason for Mazal. The Mazal principle in Elokus is where is the real divine purpose. Yeah, we have the union of Mesiras Nefesh, Rahman Islam. I mean, of all kinds of different things that we relate to Elokus. But what is the essence of it? The essence of it is to know Elokus beyond the effect of Elokus on world. To know Elokus as it is unto itself. This is the Mazal. In our own experience, difficult to call it experience, but in our own reality, we can make a statement about our beliefs, our truth, our godliness, even though we ourselves are never going to benefit from it. For its own sake. Make a statement for the statement, for substantiating its own truth. The term of Mesiras Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem, Al-Kiddush Hashem, means to make a statement that Hashem's name is superior, is more true, there's deeper than any experience that you can have in the world. The ultimate truth beyond worldly presence. This is ultimately the full expression, full development of the Bereshit Bara Elokim. The Rebbe initially created the world. Why? Wherefore? Because it expresses Hashem's truth beyond explanation. This truth permeates the created world, so that in the created world there is that sense that from a worldly perspective we call it Mazal. We have no way of identifying, we can't put our finger on it. But there is something beyond worldly reality that affects worldly reality. Which is also called goyro. It's a very common time experience when people play games among themselves. On Hanukkah we played dreidel. Dreidel is he put his dreidel in it and he spin it, and there is absolutely no way that you can influence how it's going to come out. You let it spin freely until it identifies where it comes out. This identification where it comes out is accidental. It's accidental, but it is expressing something very significant. And the proof is in the fact that we are so enticed by this spin. When it falls, if it falls on a gimel, we rejoice. Why rejoice? It had nothing, no influence on it. It's not your doing. This gimel is making a statement that there's a truth behind your spin. And this is the truth that's going to be expressed at the end of the spin. This truth is called Mazal. It seems accidental because it's beyond our ability to identify. But in truth, it is something which is touching beyond the identifiable part of the world. The Emunah says, if there's a ditch in the street, on the roadway, that can potentially hurt a passerby. Listen to this. The possibility of an animal, of a horse, falling into this ditch is much greater than that of a human being, falling into the ditch. The Emunah says, how come? It's dark, you don't see it. The Emunah says, because Adam Yishle Mazal, Behema Leslo Mazal. And Adam has a Mazal. Adam has a super meaning to his being, and that protects him even in the dark. Behema less lamas. Therefore, the chance of the behema to fall into this ditch are much greater than that one human. This Mazal is really a divine supervisor to make sure that ultimately the world should be maintained the way it should be maintained, safeguarded for the sake for what it was created.
Excuse me, which Gemara is it?
That's a good question. I have to look it up.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, it's a good point. You quote Gemara because that's, but you remember where exactly it is. Order Nisli, Mazal, Behema, Elashla Mazal.
It's in the beginning of Baba Kama, if I remember correctly.
It's probably in Baba Kama, yeah, probably in Ezekiel.
Daf Vav, if I remember correctly, somewhere around there.
Oh, you found the Daf. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Where in Baba Kama?
Ultimately, what the Rebbe is saying over here is that this Mazal element is felt in our neshama, in us, in a very practical and very real way. The neshama, and as it expresses itself in us, which hence there's a right and wrong way of doing things. This right and wrong way is not something that can be defined from a worldly activity perspective. The right and wrong way is the emanation and the statement of the Emunah. And actually, it is way beyond worldly experience, and this is what's called Mazal Chos. He sees this truth from a Mazal perspective. To put it in simple terms, perhaps, maybe oversimplifying, this is the way that Eibishter wants it to be. You have to realize Hashem created the world, and in the world He created Toiv and Ra, and He created the world in a manner that there's a lot of challenges, and we have to overcome the challenges. Ultimately, where is the divine spirit contained? The person is challenged, very strongly, heavily challenged. He may overcome the challenge, he may chas v'shalom fail. Where is the source of presenting this challenge? The most for this is a father is testing his child. And he puts him through a rigorous test, asking him very difficult questions. It would seem that the father is trying to catch the son in a mistake. Catches him back and forth. But what ultimately does the father looking for? He's looking to prove to himself that the son will make it through. Will give the correct answer. Superficially, it seems that the father is trying to treat the child into failure. He's trying to take him into failure, thereby proving his success. This is what our life in the world is. We are constantly challenged by our Creator. Ultimately, because of his love for us, he wants to prove our clear thinking and our truth. Where we find the truth without any basis for it, just because this is where we want to be. Truth in its purity. This is what the challenges and missionaries bring out. What is the pure desire of the Neshama Vayid? Is its purity itself. Goodness and kindness. This is called Mazal of the Neshama. This is higher than the experience of the Neshama itself. This is the divine truth from which the Neshama emanates. Just as the father testing his son, what is the spirit behind that brought about this whole testing? We can't even define it, identify it in the process of the testing. It's way beyond that. It is the truth of the father's belief in his son, of the truth of his son, which is called Mazal. This is where the Emunah in the Jew comes from. He is steadfastly connected to that which is higher than world. To bring us home, this has been proven over all these thousands of years. We then find themselves in what you call no man's land, or a better state, worse still, in enemy territory. And even continue to walk through the enemy territory and do their thing and somehow survive. I hate to bring painful moments since we are completely behind it. Just to make a point, in the concentration camps, I don't have to describe the concentration camps to anyone here. I'm sure everybody knows and understands what it was about. There was one pair of tefillin in the entire camp. To be caught putting on this tefillin is life-threatening. Not threatening, it's definitely losing your life. One pair of tefillin. Somebody found out that on the other side of the camp there is this pair of tefillin. He made his way there, just walking through the camp is a sakana. Because whenever you're walking, they have these masters who are asking, where are you going? And you would make this way just to have the opportunity to put on tefillin once. This is the power, the super power of the Yid. This is the Mazal of the Neshama. A direct connect to God Himself. All right. We have to do something inside. That is our focus. That's our source for everything that we are saying. Let me start. Huh? I'm sorry, what is it? Yeah, I'm going to start. I'll start, we'll go quickly, so I can start just 3 lines from the beginning of Samachala. At the end of the 3rd line, it says, Knesset Soil Nikro Kal. Knesset Soil, the Jewish nation. Knesset means that which incorporates, contains the entire Jewish reality. It's called Kala. Because Kala is Meloshin Kolsa Nafshi. It is rooted in the word Kolsa Nafshi. Kolsa Nafshi means my soul goes out. Going out means, again, we already discussed it. Going out, the word Kolsa comes from the word Koil. Koil means the entire soul goes out. It's not a functional aspect. The entire soul goes out. This entire soul going out is the continuing on Sheyesh b'cholecha v'yachad Yisrael. This is present in every benitus nishmosei, in the spark of his neshama. The spark principle we already discussed the other day, and I want to repeat it since we've gone so deeply. A spark, in contrast to a fire. A fire, besides that it is producing fire in all directions, it has a functional aspect. It affects its surrounding. A spark only speaks of the purity of the spark itself, of the fire itself. Nitzutz information means the spark of the neshama, without identifying any function or aspect of the neshama. What do you sparkle with? The neshama sparkles with this union. To be incorporated and to cleave to Hashem Echad, to the Echad of Hashem. The other day we spoke about the word Echad. Echad, we say it every day, Hashem Yisrael, Hashem Hakim, Hashem Echad. And it behooves us occasionally to focus in on the word Echad. Chassidus explains Echad does not only mean that there is only one God, of course. Echad means that there is only one reality. Everything that exists is rooted in this one reality. Echad. This one reality is a divine reality. It is absolutely superworldly. It's the truth of the divine presence. This truth does not need any basis for its being. Does not need any cause for what it identifies. It identifies it from its own truth. And this truth is reflected in the nitzus of the neshama. It's the spark of the neshama. Not in the functional aspect of the neshama, but in the neshama, the spark of the neshama, but the neshama sparkles with. And now we'll continue in the fourth, at the end of the fourth line. Is that correct, Rahi?
Yeah.
V'yahavo this ahava yesh b'koyach v'kolach v'lechem yisrael. This ahava. Ahava means a draw. As we explained the other day, a draw is possible only when you're outside of the essence. So you're drawn to it. Ahava clearly denotes a desire from an outside stance. This ahava is a reflection of the very source of the neshama, and it follows the neshama to wherever it is. In the niches of the neshama, there is the ahava of Kolsa Nafshi, of wanting to be out, to go out of itself. This ahava is, let me explain just for a moment. Ahava means love. Usually, an experience of love has a reciprocal element to it. If you love somebody, yes, you can do anything you want, anything that is needed, anything that's possible to do for this person. But there is also reciprocation. You have nachas from this person. You experience, you enjoy his company. However you put it, Ahava has a reciprocal element. But then there is an meaning from Ahava that is beyond reciprocation. This is called Kolsa Nafshi. That the Ahava is such that draws a person to forget about himself completely, his own experience, just to know, to establish Hashem Echad. To make the statement Hashem Echad, this is all he wants. In every Yid, there is this Ahava. And it's called B'koyach. We explained the other day, the reason it's called B'koyach. B'koyach does not mean just in the ability. B'koyach in this case means in the very essence. What makes a Yid tick, live, breathe? It is this Ahava. What makes a person continuously breathe in and out in order to live? Is it this sense that if he doesn't breathe, he will feel uncomfortable? Or he cease to be? Just the truth of this breath is what draws him to the breath. For this breath can connect him to Hashem Echad, to the reality. This is not for survival. This is the truth itself. This is the experience of continuous breath, breathing. This is a very, very clear demonstration, because this breathing is a continuous activity, which means I have it and I don't have it. And yet, this continuous activity has a constancy element, because to breathe in or to breathe out, both are speaking about maintaining life itself. Breathing in clearly is to get life in. Breathing out is also the same thing. It is to breathe out the impure air and in order to leave room for the pure. Breathe in, breathe out, both are saying is the same statement. to be connected to the source of life. This is why this is called ahava. Ahava is an action which has, and every action has an in and out. A moment of action of positive, a moment of retraction. In the retraction, it is also a positive. Every retraction is for the sake of being able to accept a deeper and a higher sense of the positive.
The sense of the what?
I didn't hear what you said. Every retraction is in order to accept a deeper and more and truer sense of the positive.
The positive.
Yeah.
Oh.
And our simple, most blatant representation show of this union, think about this. We go to sleep. The Emunah says that sleep is echad mishishim b'misha. Sleep is a lifeless, in a certain sense, or that it's a lifeless state. We go to sleep voluntarily. Sometimes we go to sleep, we don't go to sleep because we're so tired, we just fall asleep. But most of the time, this is not the case. We go to sleep voluntarily. We're still in full action, but we go to sleep. How can you give up a functional state of life and go to sleep? The answer is that we sense that, yes, I'm in a functional state of life. There is a higher functional state of life, which I can gain by going to sleep. So going to sleep is not for the sake of going to sleep, but for the sake of waking up refreshed, with greater strength and greater zest. This is the constant in and out of breathing, of life. And this is the Kolsa Nafshi. So it goes out complete. And then it gets restored from a higher source. This is in Kolsa Nafshi is called Emunah. Emunah defies definition. On the one hand, Emunah is a conscious knowledge, reality. On the other hand, you can't even define what you know. And yet, it is a knowledge. Emunah is not what they call blind faith. Emunah is not blind at all. It's very clearly sighting. Knows exactly what he wants. And yet, it is without reason and without explanation. This Emunah is present in every Yid, as the Rebbe says. To the extent that he's able to give his life on Kiddush Hashem, because his aim is to establish the holiness of Hashem's name, rather than his personal experience. Impurities Emunah. Okay, I have my watch in front of me. Okay, I'm reading the end of the fifth line from the bottom. Now Impurities Emunah. Hainu she makifa milmayla min haseichel. Now this Mazal, this Emunah, is makif, embraces the person from milmayla min haseichel, from a source that is above seichel. What does it mean, milmayla min haseichel? It does not originate from human experience. Seichel is the first moment of human experience. This Emunah does not originate from any experience that a person has had, can possibly have. And yet, it is speaking to him, his language. Because there is this makif that surrounds a person from above the seichel. This is the Mazal of the neshama. Mazal, the neshama, is the statement that says to the neshama, this is where you should go. This is where you belong. This is your truth. It tells the neshama what the neshama should look for. This is what keeps the neshama in track under all circumstances.
Rabbi, we lost your video. Maybe the video button was turned off for you.
All right, but you can hear me, right?
Of course.
Okay, so now we have to break for the next stage. Okay, can you see me now?
Yeah, we see you.
Yeah. All right. I hit something. I don't know what I did. All right. Maybe we should help him. We should get out of this difficult, totally inexplicable moment situation. Where the whole world is in siege of a little microbe that threatens the lives of the whole world.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
I don't know if it's pertaining to the shir. I don't know if it's mamish on.
It's okay. This is okay. Yeah, go ahead.
There's it's brought down many places about a ganav, ganva pumachtarte ganva, and he has a Emunah. He's asking for Hashem, and on the other hand, he's doing the ganaiva. So how could it be? If he believes in Hashem, how can he ganva? So Chassidus explains that Emunah is a makif, and it doesn't affect his actions. So we're learning now, but that the Emunah is affecting. He's going from a serious nefesh, and
very good question. Very good question. And the answer to this is, of course, much longer than the time allows right now. But the principal answer to this is this. Emunah will maintain his sight, his recognition of Hashem's presence. This is why Achmona Karya. He asked Hashem to give his success in Gneva. In other words, it has a momentary effect. For the moment, he recognizes this Emunah. But when it comes on his normal moment-to-moment activity, how his seichel directs, leads him in his activity. then he loses the sight of the Emunah. Give an example, a very simple example. You're walking in a road, on the way, and you lost your way. Are you going to continue to walk because you have Emunah? Or are you going to stop somebody and try to find out what is the way to go?
I'll try to find out.
Why? Emunah should guide you. You're always inside of Emunah. The answer is that when it comes to moment activity, the Seichel has to give you guidance. Emunah cannot give you guidance. When you have a momentary challenge that challenges the very essence of your truth, yes, Emunah is what gives you guidance. But when it comes down to functioning on a continuous basis in the world, then the Seichel is your guide. However, the Seichel is also based on the Emunah. On what basis are you asking questions? When you stop somebody, how do you get there? The basis of this question is because you have Emunah, you know that this place where you are now is definitely connected to the place where you want to go. There's definitely a way to get there. Because it's all one Meiberson's word. Which is why you ask question. You don't ask question, can we get from here to there? You ask, how do you get there?
Really?
Because you know you can get there.
But the Ganav does disconnect himself. No, if he does something against Hashem, then
The Ganav forgets for the moment that it's Hashem that provides for that destination where he wants to go. He thinks he can get it from the world directly. This is the blindness that we all experience. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and
That's
he's
seichel, that's
asking.
seichel only.
I'm sorry.
What you were saying is seichel only from the Ganim.
The real way to put the Ganav's mentality is not even seichel. The Ganav's mentality is he believes in himself. He looks at himself, he is a real presence. There's no way that he will fail. He goes into all kinds of different situations when he doesn't belong, but doesn't know that there's such thing where he doesn't belong. He goes into your pocket. And he knows that if you catch him, he's going to get hit. And yet he goes. He senses his own invulnerability. That's a profound yeshus that happens in this situation. I was once in court, and there was a person there, judged for a crime. And I was watching this person. His crime was being described. It was an ugly crime. And he's sitting there proudly. How can you sit watching yourself being degraded like that? He's completely oblivious to the fact that he did something ugly. He only focuses on himself. He's disconnected completely from the divine truth. He lives in his own truth. that is really a very low state of life. It's a miracle that life crawls through these cracks during life. There's much to speak about this. This is the mentality of a Ganav. It's not simple.
Going back to Emunah, what is your personal message according to what we said about Emunah for the dramatic situation?
For what?
What is your Emunah message from the dramatic situation?
You mean from our current situation here now?
Yes.
The word threat. A threat is threatening a reality. You can't threaten something that's lifeless. You can't threaten a rock. You threaten something that has full cognizance of its own life. Therefore, yes, the life aspect in the world is being threatened. At the same time, however, this makes us consciously recognize that there is a life element in the world permeating everything in the world, every individual. That's what the threat is about.
I'm sorry, the video went off. If we can still.
Okay, how's it now? Okay,
yeah.
Yes, it's a threat. But what is it the threat to? The threat is to the reality, to the real life that's going on in the world. And we know by divine assurance and by experience and by history that ultimately Toiv is victorious over Ra.
Bezrat Hashem.
Yes, Hashem.
I'm sorry, my phone went down and it's in recording, but I asked the question what the, maybe it's on the recording, what was answered that on cycle, moment to moment, from moment to moment, you have to ask the cycle, but he still has Emunah. But when the Ganav goes contrary to Hashem, he's using a cycle, but it still says that he is asking for Hashem. So we try to understand the Ganav because we try to understand oneself, what's happening with us when we...
Right. This is an Indian that the Rebbe provided in our creation. You can ask a simple question. Since the whole creation, the Rebbe asked the question, the whole creation is from the Meibushin. How can anything survive doing an Aveda? We discussed it the other day. In a nutshell, it's like this. Day and night. And he created good and bad and evil. What's evil have to do with Hashem's creation? Evil is also a divine creation. Evil has no basis of being. How then does it survive?
What?
Evil has no basis of being. How does it survive? Just like we said the other before. A Ganav, he's doing evil, but he feels his own invulnerability, his own power of being. Where does he get that from? He gets it from the fact that he was created, he's a divine creation. A divine creation, every point of it has a divine reality truth. It's much more to speak about it, I just want to make the following point and then bring it home. We asked this question a long time ago, many times. Interesting thing. You have a piece of wood or a rock, anything in the world. These things have come into being, they were created entities. There is no way that you can destroy anything in physical. You can change its form, change it from one form to another, but you cannot destroy it. How come? The answer is that its basic presence is divine. Hashem has allowed in the world to be a world. And the world that we have is Hashem's continuous maintenance. Ultimately, it is in order to reveal Hashem's presence on the world we live.
What about burning the piece of wood? It provides fire and smoke. Is that...
That's right. But smoke is also a presence.
Okay.
You don't eliminate it.
Okay.
You can't destroy anything in the world because it has a divine substance.
So our challenge is that the cycle to should make should get its should be led through the Emunah. Is that
correct? But even beyond being led by Emunah, our seichel has to reveal the Emunah. And I always demonstrate it in a very simple thing. A carpenter builds a table. This table is very vulnerable. You can take it apart. But you won't dare take it apart. Why not? Because the spirit of the carpenter of building this table stays with the table. You have derech eretz, you have respect for the spirit that built.
so? Let me ask. Let's say the Ganov has now his challenge. He
I'm sorry?
let's say the Ganav, he doesn't have no money, and he can have $1,000 through Ganaiva. And his cycles tells him there's the end of the world, and there's nothing to. I mean, you're not gonna get to survive tomorrow or whatever. And Emunah says, have faith. So how does he bring this? What's his challenge? What should the cycle answer?
The truth is, yeah, that's a powerful question. How is the guy supposed to support himself? At the same time that there's a Ganav who has nothing of his own personal resources, the Rebbe created in every human being a sense of compassion, a sense of recognizing a person in strife. Throughout, since the beginning of time, Avraham Avinu had a place for wayfarers, lost people in the field, in the desert. And he would give them support. The Gemara says an interesting thing. The Gemara says that halachically, which means according to principles of truth of the Meibersh's world, every community, every village is supposed to have a tzedakah resource. For wayfarers, people come, stranded people, you have to be able to, you have to have some resource with which to feed them. This resource of feeding them has to feed them while they are your visitor in your town, and you also give them a pas b'saleh to give him some food for his journey. So the question is, since that every village has this food resource, why do you have to give him on his journey? He will come to the next village and he'll get it there. So the Gemara says, no, you have to give him for the journey. Even though he's not going to eat it because he's going to the next village. Because a person has to sense, it's called pas b'saleh, has to sense that even while he is en route, he is also being supported by the Meibersh's mitzvahs. He's never without any support at all, even while he's en route. So this pas b'saleh, this little piece of bread in his basket, is what gives him reassurance that yes, indeed, he's being supported all the time. This is the Emunah. A person never feels total loss. My father, Abba Shalom, had a very difficult life in the communism and the Second World War. He had to travel, run away from the war front and so forth. So he used to say, he said to me several times, sometimes I mamash had no idea what the next moment is going to bring. Somehow something turns around and the situation changes. Let me give you a little bit background. He was an alman. My mother passed away when we were little children. In Russia, during the Second World War, or immediately after, with 3 little children, a man in the middle of nowhere. What are the chances of survival? Not only chances of survival, these 3 little tots that he carried, he ultimately brought out to a free land, to America, and gave him a real life. Could he possibly have dreamt of this? He said, absolutely not. You live in a big world. Big world is supported by God himself. And he makes sure that things don't fall apart. You have to have the strength of conviction that your life is not going to dissipate because it's real. It's not your own making. Sometimes I contemplate my father's life, and I really can't imagine how this man made it through. Anyways, so let's get back to...
This is what we're learning now.
I'm sorry? What'd you say? All right. The Rebbe should help us. We will survive this onslaught of this, whatever it's called, the current plague. We will reveal in our world a resource that was never known before.
Your daughter's saying the same thing.
Huh?
She said the same thing. It's going to be a new world when it's...
Thank you, Rabbi Paltiel. Thank you.
All the best. Call to Suri Stavis. Stand up steadfast. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt anything because because it's Mabus's creation.
Yes.
Oh, who is this? Oh, look at this. Look at those bottles. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Hey.
Hi, Tati just gave a class of classes. I have to put it up. I never heard such stuff before in my life. Emunah, the high then. I don't see that you and that Tati. Well, here.
Hi, Risha Labamala.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Hello. Say hi, everyone.
Baruch Hashem.
Say hi, Rabbi Paltiel.
Oh, look at that beautiful hair. Wow.
Hello.
Hello.
You're all shy? You don't want to say hi? Say hi.
Oh,
Hi.
Hold, are you there?
What's your name?
Hi,
Yeah, I'm
Rishon.
here, yeah.
Did you ever hear that Mazal was
Who's
from?
on? Someone else?
Tati's just finishing the class. Actually, they kept him an extra. You know, he went an extra half hour because of. So there's somebody still on with his Kindle.
Oh, that's nice.
It's
Okay.
yeah.
Good, Baruch Hashem. We're good. Chevy got it.
What's that?
Chevy got it.